Hello, Felicity Wales back here with another recipe that I'm conjuring up. I really do have to do an experiment before I film this, but you know. So my brother's given me some sweet corn and I've taken the kernels off them like so, just slicing down on each side until I've gotten most of the kernel off. Just be careful not to go too close to the bone of it, because you will get the harder bits in your recipe. So I've weighed this and there's about 375 grams of corn kernels in here. Give or take a couple of grams because they're so super sweet and very moorish. In this recipe I've also got canned potato. I'm just going to pop them in here. I like the baby potatoes. Stock up on these just in case, you never know. Yes, I am a little bit of a prepper. It helps to have, you know, extra supplies in your pantry. You never know when you're going to need it. And when I became redundant last year, it was very, very appreciated. Believe me. Now I've got my recipe here on my Thermomix again. I'm going to pop into that. I've made a sweet corn and red lentil chowder by Felicity Wales recipe on our cookie dough. This is also possible to do it in a pot on the stove. I'm just using the chopping facility in here and the scales that are already there and the heating element that is there. It's all in one in our TM7. So if you look down here, you can see the ingredients. I've gotten most of those out. I might have to scrape around for a measuring spoon shortly. Don't be too fussy about the ingredients. Close enough, near enough is good enough. Is that what we say? And the preparation, we'll go through those steps shortly. Okay, so I'm going to go back at the top and just hit the start button. Okay, and it just gives you that generic warning that this is not an official Thermomix recipe, so if it doesn't taste any good, blame me, people, blame me. And also be careful with the temperatures. I did keep the temperatures from another sweet corn chowder recipe, which had very different ingredients, but I did keep the temperatures and the speeds and the timing. Okay, so it's telling me to open the lid, so I'll do that. There's nothing in there at the moment, obviously. I'll pop the lid over here, and it's telling me to add my onion, garlic, garam masala, turmeric, cinnamon, cumin, caraway seeds to the mixing bowl. Now, I have not got the olive oil out, and I haven't got my dried shallots, so I'll be back. So lately, I've been shopping at Woolies for onions and a couple of other items that I can't grow, or I'm not growing, or I don't know anyone who is growing, and I haven't liked the onions that were available, so I always keep fried shallots in my cupboard, and I find that they give a really lovely flavour to things, so I'm going to use those today. My first ingredient though is 20 grams of olive oil, and you'll notice that if the first ingredient comes up, it'll switch over to the scales all by itself on the Thermomix. I'm just going to do 20 grams and trust that it's going to measure it properly. Oops, 23. That's not going to bother me, having a couple of extra grams of olive oil. That's good. So I'll tick that off. Usually the machine does it itself if it's a tested recipe. Sometimes it doesn't for a non-tested one. 1 onion diced, or a tablespoon of dried shallots. So I'm just going to whack that in there. Okay, tick that off. 2 to 4 garlic cloves. I haven't got the garlic cloves either, so bear with me while I chop those up. So if you're like me and you don't have jarred, I don't like the jarred garlic. It's completely different flavour to fresh. I just chop those up roughly. I love garlic. You can never give me too much garlic, so I don't really care if it's in chunky pieces in our chowder. So I'll tick that and move on to a teaspoon of garam masala. I've got a really nice one here. which I might actually use. So I had some points garam masala, but I got this one, Maharaja's Choice, got it from Little India, I think it was. That's half a teaspoon. I just absolutely love garam masala. It's beautiful, and that's a really nice flavour. And I'll just show you. That's the one at Hoyt's in Woolworths. The smell is, it's nice, but it's nothing compared to this one. Nothing compared to you. That's it. Yeah, so aniseedy and delicious. Always smell your spices, people, is what I'm getting at. And be fussy. I just got a delivery of some really delicious spices from Green Valley. Okay, so I'll tick that off, and then a tablespoon of turmeric powder. I don't think I need a tablespoon of that. I think I'm going to put a teaspoon. I think a tablespoon may be an error on my part, because that will give it too much of a curry flavour or tarty flavour. I'm only going to do 1 teaspoon. A teaspoon of cinnamon. Probably doesn't need that much cinnamon either. As I'm going along, I'm thinking I'm going to break this down a little. I think I'll do half a teaspoon of cinnamon and half a teaspoon of cumin. Where do we have cumin? Turmeric, cinnamon. Where's my cumin? Oh, here we go. Here's my cumin. I'll get some cumin in there. I might use plain spoon. Go in for half a teaspoon. That one. And half a teaspoon of caraway seeds. Let's go diving in. Oh, there they are. Go diving. And I'm just going to do a sprinkle of those. Okay, that'll do us. I am going to put the lid back on. He's now asking me to put the lid back on. And we are going to hit the go, play, and go for 4 minutes. So just going to readjust my hair while we're waiting. Okay, wash my hands. Now that's going to cook for 4 minutes, and while we're doing that, we can quickly put our spices and condiments and things away. I wish you could smell what I can smell in this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing. It's very hot, but I'll just give you a look at that. So it's all cooked deliciously. I've hit okay, and gone to the next step. It says to add the potatoes. So I've got my tin of potatoes. They've been drained and washed. I've got 300 grams at least of corn kernels. I've got more than that. Who knows? You can also use frozen. One of the recipes online said frozen. And you can use just the tin corn kernels, I guess. I'm going to use the fresh ones. It might mean that they're a little bit stiffer, that I'm putting them in earlier than some of the recipes. And the 200 grams of beans. Now, they say butter beans are good because it's a very bland bean and it'll take on the flavour of anything. It's also a light creamy colour. I've only got edamame beans, and they to me are very similar to butter beans in the way they behave when they're cooked. Now, a tablespoon of stock powder. I just use the Vegeta one. You can use the one without MSG if you prefer. Pop that in. A half a cup of red lentils. I've got some lentils in here. That's 100 grams. 100 grams of lentils, so you can weigh them if you want to. I'm just going to stick them right in there as it is. I'm not even going to wash them or anything. In they go. Not going to soak them or anything. I find that red lentils boil down fairly quickly anyway to a softness that I can handle. 400 grams of filtered water. Yeah, so you hit the ingredient, tap the ingredient, and the tear button comes up. Make sure it tears back, and I'll start pouring the water in. And you'll notice that it goes up on the scale to 408. It doesn't matter if you go over, and I'll tick that off. Now I'm going to give it a stir. I should have put an instruction there too. Did I put an instruction? No, I should have put an instruction there. Just give it a little bit of a stir. It's going to do it for you anyway. I just like to make sure it's all got the water over it. And I'll hit the instruction for the 10 minutes. Put the lid on. And this is going to cook for 10 minutes. So I might be able to have a break. Famous last words. Okay, so back again, and we've just finished the 10 minutes. Now it does have an option to repeat that, but I know that further along we can do that. Now it says to open it. Just notice that it is red, so it is very hot, so be very careful. So when you open the lid, you can actually sit the lid up here somehow. Apparently you put it this way and it sits there somehow, and all the drippings drip into the bowl. Okay, well that's very precarious, and if you ask me, but I'm just going to give it a little bit of scrape down before I put the rest of the ingredients in. Okay, it's not that, it's got some nice flavour. I'm about to add our coconut milk. So I just use the coconut milk because it's actually really thick. Okay, pop this in there. You get that all out if you want to. You can even put some water in it and rinse it off and pop it in if you wanted it. It says add ground black pepper to taste. I'm just going to put about that much. However that much is, who knows. And salt. So I'll pop some salt in, and that's about, so that was a teaspoon of salt. I'm just giving it a little bit of a mix. As Steph D'Souza, shout out to Steph, who has a wonderful recipe channel and does some really great reels for quick recipes. I'm never going to be as quick as Steph, but you're very inspiring, and every time I mix something now, I want to say mixy, mixy, which is, yeah, one of Steph's things. So I'll pop that down. I'll just get my little spoon that I use for the coconut, and I'll just give that a taste. That is really good. Yum. Really nice, actually. I don't think it needs anything more of anything. Remember, it's not too salty, it's not too anything. The corn is really crunchy still. It says to cook it another 10 minutes. I might do that, just because the lentils aren't quite soft enough yet for me. So in we go, and I'll be back. So just while we're waiting, just for those who want to know how to process corn, if you see sweet corn growing, you're lucky enough to have a brother like mine who grows it in his garden. My pump's going off at the moment, sorry about that if it's too loud. If you happen to be in the cornfield and you get a little bit hungry, just pull the outer leaves off, and the hairy little pieces all over it. Just give it a twist, it'll break off from the bottom. You can eat that. Oh my God, it's so sweet, so juicy. Or you can get your knife and slice down, and just make sure you've got a bowl underneath or something to catch all the kernels. Or you can chop it in half. Just chop it in half, pop it in an airtight bag, pop them into the freezer. If you do what I do and slice down and get those kernels off, like that, they'll just break off into kernels. You can also pop those into a freezer bag, or a Ziploc bag are the best that I use in my opinion, and throw them into the freezer and just pull them out for any dish that you need them for. Time flies when you're eating corn. I've got it all through my teeth. Now just doing a word of warning that this is hot, so be careful. I've stopped that. I'll hit the next button. It says transfer 3/4 of the soup into a thermal serving bowl. I'm going to just pop it into here because I'm going to let it cool down later, and I'm going to have a little bit for lunch. So I'm going to just pour that. So that's what it looks like in here. So the point is to just keep enough that you're going to blend. That's about enough, I'd say, to make it smoother. You can choose not to do this step if you like. If you think it's thick enough already, there's no need to do it. You can skip that step completely. You know, if I was going to serve that to lots of other people, I would pop it in my thermal container instead of just the Dutch oven. You could also just put it in the Dutch oven and reheat it later, depending on when you're going to eat it. Blend remaining soup in mixing bowl. Okay, so I've got the lid on for 1 minute. It's just going to blend it on speed 9. So it's going to get quite loud. Oh, that's quite loud, isn't it? So I'll just tick that and I'll open that up and woo. So you can see just from the lid how creamy it all is now. That's the potatoes and the corn and the beans all mushed up together and looking fabulous. So I might clean that up later. I will open my container again and bring that back over here because remembering it is hot, I've just got to scrape my bowl down a little bit around the sides, etc. It is quite thick and pasty. So you don't want to do it all because you don't want the whole thing to be thick and pasty. It'd be very unappetizing. But if you do a little bit, blend a little bit of it, it will just thicken that up. So to get everything around the blade, you're going to take some time to undo that blade and do it properly, and I will do that. Okay, and then just mixing it so that it's nice and creamy. So I'm just going to soup spoon. Oh, there's still a big chunk of potato in there, which suits me fine. So we've still got some potatoes. It's a beautiful colour. Oh, and it tastes delicious. It's nice and sweet, actually. That sweet corn is quite sweet. A bit of black pepper on there. And there you go. That's my red lentil and corn chowder, sweet corn chowder. Beautiful. Let's have a taste. You can put coriander and diced tomato and a little drizzle of coconut milk on top. That was delicious. I've just had my lunch. It was absolutely delicious. But those little corn kernels can get stuck in your throat if you breathe in too hard. So I've put everything back into my thermo again, what was remaining, and I'm going to blitz the entire lot because I'm going to share this with my mum. So if you've got any vulnerable people that are vulnerable to, you know, choking, or children that you're going to share this with, you might want to just pop back into the recipe and hit the start button and whip on down to blending it all. If you're doing this whole recipe in a pan, fry pan or saucepan, I should say, then you can just get your stick blender or pour it all into a blender and do it that way. I'm just going to skip all the way down to blending step 5, set that as my current step, and it's just going to blend the whole lot for 1 minute, 1 hour. Okay, so that's all done, and it's all nice and creamy and safe to eat, and I'll transfer that into a serving container and take it to my mum's. Thanks for watching.